Hello coders and welcome to another How to Code Well PHP tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at a PHP array method that will pull out random keys from an array. This is the array_rand function. So let's dive in and take a look at the code. The array_rand function will pull out a random key or keys from an array. So first of all, we need to have an array. Let's put in data is equal to an array. Let's say we have an array of people's names. So Peter, James, Kelly, and Emma. So let's say we want to randomize this and pull out the keys. Now, this isn't going to pull out the values, it will pull out the keys. So because this is an indexed array, this will be a key of 0, 1, 2, and 3. So let's type array_rand. And before I put in any of the parameters, let's go and take a look at the documentation. This will pick one or more random entries out of an array. This is the link to the documentation to find out more. It takes two arguments. The first one is the input array, and the second one, which is optional, this is the required number of entries that you want to pluck out of this array. It will return a mixed data type. If you are picking only one entry, array_rand returns the key for a random entry. Otherwise, it returns an array of keys for the random entries. This is done so that you can pick random keys as well as the values out of the array. So let's go ahead and play around with the array_rand function. So what I'm going to do is put in a variable called selection. We're going to supply the data array, and in this example, I'm not going to supply the second parameter. This means that we should only get one result. So let's print that out. I'm going to do a var_dump of the selection. I'm now going to go into the browser and take a look at this output. I'm going to use the PHP local server. If you haven't got one of those set up, then do check out my tutorial linked in the show notes below. Once you access this file from a browser, you'll have an output that is similar, but probably not the same as this. This is because it is a random selection. So this is pulling out the index of 3. If I was to refresh the page again, this is going to change. So now we have 1. Let's refresh it once more. And now we have 3. Let's do it again. That's 1, 3, 1. There's 2. So it is random. I mean, we don't have a lot of values to play with. Okay, so let's go back to the code and play around with the second argument, which will pull out multiple keys from the array. Underneath the var_dump, we're going to have another one, but this time it's going to be the array_rand, passing in the data as we've done before. But this time we're going to include a second parameter, which is the number required, the amount of entries that we want to return. So in this case, we want to return 2. Let's save the work, go back to the browser and refresh the page. Here we can see that we have two outputs. This is the first one. This is the second one. I used var_dump because I wanted to show that this is an array, the second output, whereas this is an integer. I'm going to go back into the code now and just tidy this up. So what I'm going to do is echo out a horizontal rule like so. And we're going to replace this with a print_r. And here I'm going to supply print and then pre. Okay, let's save the work and go back to the browser. Refresh the page. And you'll see that this is the first example. It now has the random key of 2. And this is the second example. This now is an array, and the keys that we've pulled out are 0 and 2. If we refresh this, this will change. So this is useful for pulling out the random keys from the array. Of course, we could use this to also pull out the values. So let's go back to the code and do just that. So if I wanted to get the values that are randomly selected from this, what I would do here is I would type var dump and then pass in data and selection. Remember, selection is the key that was randomly selected from this array rand. If I wanted to do the same thing for multiple entries, what I would do is loop through the output of array rand and print those out. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to assign this to a variable. We're going to call this mix. I'll replace the array rand here with mix. And then under this, we're going to have for each mix as key and print data key. Remember, data is the data that we've supplied. We're also going to concat this to a BR. Okay, so let's go back to the browser and refresh the page. So here we can see that we have the random key of 0, and this outputs Peter, that is the name of the data. And here we can see that we have, in this second example, we've also got the array key of 0 and 1, and that is Peter and James. If we were to refresh this, this changes. So we now have the random key of 1. That corresponding value is James. And likewise, in this array, we've also got James, and therefore we have the key of 1 here. And also we have Kelly, which is the array key of 2. For total clarity, I'm going to go back to the code and I'm going to output the original data array. So before the selection, we're going to do a print pre and then a print underscore r of data. Let's just put some space between these rows just to make it a little bit more readable. Okay, so let's just quickly recap what's going on. We create a data array. Now this array contains people's names, so Peter, James, Kelly, and Emma. We're then printing that out, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second. And then on line 5, we're getting a random key from that data. So that would be key 0, that would be key 1, 2, and 3. So this variable will be assigned a random key from this data array. We're then doing some dumps, so we've got a var dump here, so we're going to return that random key. We're also going to return the value assigned to that key. And then we're going to scroll down here, and we've got the second example. This is a mix of the data where we have 2 entries. So this is going to return 2 entries from that which have random keys. So this is going to return an array of random keys. This is going to return a single random key. We're then looping over our random keys and we're printing out their corresponding values. So let's go back to the browser and take a look at the final result. Let's refresh the page and we can see that this is the original array. These keys do not change when we refresh the page. However, because we're using the array underscore rand function, we're pulling out random keys from this array. We can see that 0 corresponds to the value of Peter here. And if we refresh once more, we can see that 1 corresponds to the value of James, which is here. We can also see that this example has the key of 0 and 1, and therefore we have Peter and James. If you found this tutorial helpful, then please do let me know. Give it a thumbs up and also do subscribe to the How to Code Well YouTube channel to get more tutorials like this each week. If you've got any questions on anything to do with these tutorials or anything in programming in general, then please do ask, but do so on our Discord server. Go to howtocodewell.net/Discord to join. Thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, everybody, and I'll see you again in the next one.